Hello everyone and welcome to Slipjoint Sawyer. Today we'll be taking a look at a haul of knives I got from Dan over at Bladebridge Customs and some exciting updates about his business, about sort of the products he's going to be selling, things like that, which is really cool. So I'll go over that in a minute. And the rest of it is going to be a couple of older boxes I picked up at an antique shop this morning. Things I'm just going to use for storage of some of my vintage knives. I quite like the style, you know, keeping them in all those sort of boxes. But let's have a quick chat about Dan first. So Dan has started selling older vintage knives. So he's buying up people's collections or sort of really nice lots of knives, and then he's selling them on to us at absolutely screamingly good prices. I picked up 6 knives from him, all Sheffield made, all beautiful. I'll go through those in a second. But Dan, you can find him at Bladebridge Customs on Facebook and on Instagram. On the back here, you can see you've got his website, Daniel Bridge. You can scan this or you can give him a message on WhatsApp. But he's listing stuff on Instagram just as a DM to buy, and he's actually listing stuff on his website as well. But it's not just custom sacks anymore. He's got vintage USA stuff, multi-tools, scout knives, old Sheffield knives, pen knives, whatever you can think of, he's got it. He is the person to go to if you want to try and source something. He's very good at finding certain models and makes of knives that are not the easiest thing to get here in the UK. But please go and check out Dan. All the links for how to contact him on the screen now, or you can go to the description after the video and there's all links down there for you as well. But please go and check out Dan. He's a fantastic guy to deal with as well. He'll give you the best price. But let's take a look at some of the boxes I picked up first at the antique shop this morning. So I picked up this old sort of Jamaican cigar box. Nothing really too special about it. It's just an old wooden box. Now I've ordered some sort of felt to put in the bottom of here so that it'll be soft, and that'll be nice to house custom knives, maybe some pen knives, bits and pieces, or even just as a little storage box. But it does have a little latch on the front here, which is quite cool. Just sort of keeps it closed. I think I paid £4 for that, which is next to nothing. And this is the one I like the most. Now I have ordered new hinges for it because they are a little bit bust. And it's quite large, so I may have to pan the camera up for this. So we go up a bit. So I picked up this. It was an old cutlery box. You can see I've taken out the insides of it. If I lift you up a bit there, you can see. And I'm going to use this to store my custom knives. Now it's made of oak. It's quite large and quite hard to get under the camera, but you can see here where that hinge has bust. So a bit of wood has come off here and means the hinge is loose, but I've ordered some hinges to fix that, and I think that would be absolutely perfect for storing my older knives or just anything really. It's just a great box, and I think I only paid £5 for that maybe, but an absolute bargain. But on to what today's about, looking at knives. So I'm going to go through a couple of knives that I picked up from Dan, and then there's 2 gifts from Dan at the end, which I actually never knew existed and are excellent in every way. But let's start with the sort of pen knives or jackknives. So the first 2 are Taylor's Eyewitness. Now I picked these up from Dan, very reasonably priced. It's like sort of like the synthetic covers, brass liners, carbon springs and carbon blades. See that there, nice patina on the blade. Now I will do these into more detail in a different video. This is just going to be like a quick show of what I picked up. You can see the Taylor's Eyewitness there, and look at the condition of the clip point blades on this. Absolutely beautiful, and the snap as well is superb. Doesn't that sound excellent? That was a really cool one. Its build quality is superb. Nickel silver pins, jackknife, clip and a pen blade. Next up is another Taylor's Eyewitness, and look at that Federal shield right off the bat. Beautiful sort of synthetic covers, nickel silver pins, single spring design with brass liners, and this is a blade from either end. So we have the small blade, so you got the Eyewitness at the bottom there, nice little pen blade. And I have checked, all these knives here are UK legal. This is a 4-inch close with pretty much bang on a 3-inch blade. See the Eyewitness Sheffield on there, but look at that clip point. These all, I believe, are carbon steel. Looks like they'll take a nice patina in use as well. Screaming edge, of course, from Dan. He knows how to sharpen. You will never get a dull knife from him. He's great. Even if you want something cleaned up, he'll do the best sort of thing for you for that. He's got a great ultrasonic cleaner. You can take apart knives, even ones like this, and rebuild them. But that is beautiful. That's probably one of my favourite ones of the batch. Now next up we have one of the newer ones. This is the Farmer's Knife from Arthur Wright & Sons. This is in the olive wood, I believe. So this would have been one of the newer ones that I picked up. See, build quality is perfect. A little bit plain on the olive wood on the back, but the front side, look at that. Centering, wow, pretty much bang down the center, and you get that sort of sheep's foot style blade on the Farmer's Knife. Bit heavy on the grind, but screaming sharp. This will be in C75 carbon steel with the sort of the Barlow style bolster, which is what differentiates this, and a slight blade change between this and the tackler. A. Wright & Son Limited, Sheffield, England. And listen to the snap. And you can pinch this open. Absolutely beautiful knife. So, Farmer's Knife. Next up are a couple of knives that have actually been slightly modified. So this is a lamb's foot in the buffalo horn. You can see there's a bit of feathering at the back, but apart from that, it's pretty much plain all over, but does not take away from the knife. And someone has done a pretty good job, really, of adding these easy opens on. So it's you can pinch without having the need to use the nail nick on a lamb's foot, and it's a pretty good thing, really, for Arthur Wright, because their lamb's foot knives can be an absolute pain to open sometimes. And this is actually a polished blade as well. You can see where the easy open has been done. I can probably finish it off and sand it or do a little bit of a better job tidying it up, but there's nothing rough, and it's nice and symmetrical on both sides. They've done a great job with this. A nice lamb's foot blade. Beautiful knife. And as I said, all these were at an absolutely fantastic price from Dan. He really does give you the best deal. He's not out to try and stiff anyone. He just wants to make a little bit of money for himself and get everyone great knives, which a lot of companies would wish were like that. But here's another one that was modified. This is just the standard spear point sort of pen knife. And I believe this would be rosewood, I think. I'm not too sure. It does have that sort of hue to it off the camera. Through the camera, it looks a lot more brown, but in real life, in the sun, it does have a sort of a reddy tinge to it. And this, again, has had that easy open put on there. And if I open the blade, you can see it's very even. And I actually love the way where this is, because my sort of third finger really sits in there. And as if you're familiar with the channel, you know I love a spear point. Nice edge on this one as well on both sides. And the action is superb. Centering right down the middle. Another one that's slap bang down the middle. But listen to that. So there's an Arthur Wright spear point. And then the last one I picked up from Dan. Now, I didn't know the brand of this one at the time, but it is an Arthur Wright & Sons. So it has an old style brass pivot in there, you can see, with a nickel silver bolster. This beautiful genuine stag, which is pocket worn, like smoothed over all the way around. Absolutely beautiful bit of stag. It has steel liners, which I've not seen from Arthur Wright before, and it has a polished lamb's foot blade. It has the real lamb foot sort of etched or lightly stamped on the blade, and you can just about make out there A. Wright, see if I can get it to come on, there we go, A. Wright & Son Limited, Sheffield, England. Now, isn't that a beautiful knife? Look at that. A little bit light on the action. I think it just needs a bit of working, a bit of cleaning out. But there is snap. An absolutely beautiful knife. This might be my favourite one of the batch, I think, just because of how beautiful that stag is. Must be an old one to have the stainless liners on there as well. But again, it looks like someone has done the easy open on this. But again, they've done a very good job with it. So they're the knives I picked up from Dan, all of which are fantastic. I love every single one of them. They're absolutely fantastic. Now, Dan mentioned that he picked up some Swiss Army knives not made by Victorinox. So here they are. Don't be fooled by the star on the top. They're not the Chinese rip-offs. These were made in Germany for the Imperial Schrade Corporation. So, and if you know old-timer knives, same company that made those, but they are incredibly close to being a Victorinox. You get the same cellar door, inlaid shield, corkscrew. Tools are all very similar. And these were a gift from Dan. And Dan, thank you very much. I love these. You can see on there the ISC for Imperial Schrade Corporation, stainless, Germany. You can get very similar tools on there as well. And I believe they only made these for about 10 years in the 80s, I want to say. It could be earlier. What I could see online, it seemed like it was the 80s. But again, absolutely beautiful. These don't look like they've really ever been used, and if they have, it's very, very light. I will do a video on these individually. Well, the two together, but an individual on the Imperial Schrade Corporation sacks. But the scissors are perfect as well. They work really well. One of the main differences being the toothpicks on the back, and it's just this sort of cheaper style, not as good style tweezers, but I mean it works. They work fine. And then on the front, you have the toothpick, which is a bit more white than you would see from a Victorinox one. But there we go. That's my pickups from a day at the antique shop, and a couple of knives from Dan, and a couple of gifts as well. But everyone, please make sure you go and check out Dan over at Blade Bridge Customs. Fantastic guy to deal with. Absolute gem of a human. Wish a lot of people were like him. But I really hope you enjoyed this review or overview of things I've picked up. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.